Welcome to Wellness Wednesdays. I'm Darlene Newman and I will be guiding you through this painting step by step. These are the supplies and the colors that you will need. You'll need a flat brush as big as you can find. You'll need 2 different size liners. So these are the ones with the pointy edge here, small and a medium size. Of course, you'll need paper. Doesn't matter what size your paper is, but we are going to be working horizontally, so just make sure your paper goes left and right. You'll need a paper towel, water, and a palette with these colors. So you'll have black, blue, green, yellow, red, white, and brown. So the first thing we're going to do is take your smallest liner. Going to put a little bit of water on your brush and take your black. Going to put black on it. A pretty good amount of black. And our butterfly is going to be going at an angle like this. So you'll find the center of your paper, about right here. We're going to kind of go to the right of the center. And then we're going to create a line like this. So your line doesn't come all the way to the bottom. It's pretty close, but not to the very bottom. Then we're going to create a line across the top here. Get a little bit more paint on your brush. And then we're going to bring it out a little bit more, and we're going to connect down to the bottom like this. Here on each side. So kind of like you have a triangle. And you can fill that in. Next, we're going to make 2 marks of where the wings go. It's going to be a diagonal line, not at the very top, but down just a little bit. One on the right side, one on the left side here. The right wing is going to go all the way to the top of your paper. So when you're drawing a line, you press your brush down flat and then you just pull. We're going to arch it just a little bit like this. This one we're going to arch pretty close to the edge of our paper. We'll go kind of over to the edge too. I'm going to start on the left side of my paper because that's easier for me. But I'm going to end here and I'm going to come back and meet up with my line here. So the right side is short, the left side is long. Now we're going to make 2 more diagonal lines at the bottom so we can know where our wings end. So this is your very bottom, this is your center. We're going to come down a little past center here and one on the left side like this. This line will just go straight out to the bottom here, or diagonal to the right side of your paper here. This one is going to come down to the left side of your paper here. The last thing we're going to do for the shape of the wings is come over to the left side here. We're going to make a little curve kind of off the side of the paper like this, like the letter C. And then we're going to create the opposite. We're going to go a backwards letter C here. Kind of a relaxed C. It doesn't have to be exactly like the letter. Then we're going to make another C like this, a smaller one. So you have the letter C here, backwards, another letter C. And the last thing we're going to do is come out with like a backwards number 3. This is going to be not way out here, but kind of inward. So we're going to come like this, backwards letter 3. number 3, not letter 3, but backwards number 3 here. So once you get this design here and here, you're going to clean your brush off. If you want to, we're going to use our bigger flat brush to fill in everything. So everything's going to be solid. You can use a good amount of paint here. It doesn't have to be a whole lot because you do want it to dry rather quickly. But just going to fill it in nice and solid. This goes all the way to the right side of the paper. I'm just using strokes that are left and right. And when I get to the edge, then I'm just going to go up and down. If you feel like your paint is not spreading really well, you can dab a little bit of water on your brush and without stirring, and then help to spread your paint a little bit more. So that is the first part of the butterfly wings. So I'm just cleaning my brush off really, really well. Or brushes off very well. And I'm going to dry them. You don't want to leave your paint on your brush because this is acrylic paint and it dries very fast. So your brushes will be no good once paint dries on your brushes. All right. So the next step we're going to do while we're waiting for the black to dry is we're going to take a little bit of our water here and just kind of wet this bottom part. If you need to get clean water, then go ahead and get some clean water. But we're going to wet this bottom part of the paper here. My water still has a little bit of gray in it, but we're going to add a color to it. And we're going to add a little bit of brown. So you should have enough water in it to where your brown spreads like this when you add it onto the paper. So I'm just adding, making sure it's really, really saturated with the water. And then I'm going to add the water onto the color like this. Now you can take it all the way to the edge of your black if it's dry. Mine looks like it's still wet. If it's still wet, then you can leave a space. But you don't have to bring the brown all the way to the end. I kind of want to add a little bit more brown to it. Just going to add a little bit more color there. So I'll clean my brush off really well. We'll do the same thing on the left side here. Just add this water here. Just filling in this side. This time I'm going to add some yellow into it. And then a tiny bit of green into it here. And now I'm going to kind of spread that color just a little bit. I got a little bit of black in there, which will be okay. You just spread it. All right. For the top part, you're going to just, again, do the same thing. You're going to wet the paper first. Make sure it's very saturated or else your colors won't bleed the way you want them to. So that's pretty saturated. And I'm going to add a little bit of brown right here by the butterfly's head. Just a tiny bit so that I just don't have a white background or a gray background. Then I'm going to add a touch of blue. Blue is pretty powerful, so you want to be careful about how much blue you add. That gives it a nice effect right there. Now, if you don't have enough water on your paper, it won't do that. So you want to make sure your paper is very wet. And then the last color I want to add up here is going to be green. I'm going to add a little bit of a bluish green here. That's just a straight green color. And we're just really adding this to make sure our background is not just a regular white color. So you add more water to it if you want to move it around and kind of blend them together. All right, when you're done, you will clean your brush off very well and then dry it onto your paper towel. So we're going to move to the design that's right here on the body. And what we're going to do is start off with the brown. Now, your design does not have to be exactly like my design, but I'm just giving you a roadmap to what you can do. So we're going to start off with 3 dots, or right here on the right side, or kind of like lines. So we're going 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to do a bigger one out here. I'm using my larger liner for the brush. So just putting a dot down here. This painting has a lot of texture to it, so it does not have to be perfect. All right, on the left side, I'm going to start off with 3 little dots in the corner. 1, 2, and 3. My painting's a little bit wet, so I'm going to just kind of pile it on here. Then I'm going to make a couple of bigger patterns here. So there's going to be a bigger oval here. Put one here. And I'll fit one right in here that's kind of like a C shape. I think I will add one more going down the left side here of the wing, like this. In the midst of this, in these spaces, we'll add 1 dot here and a couple dots here. So the good part about this video is that you can always pause or rewind it if I'm moving too fast. All right, these are going to be nice and solid. We're actually putting another color on top, but we do want to see the color that we put down first. So right across the top here, I'm going to add 3 more shapes. One's going to be kind of bigger, and then 2 more smaller ones coming across the top here. Again, it does not have to be the exact shape that mine is. Now I'm going to add kind of like a triangular shape here. I'm going to press my brush down kind of flat here, and then bring it in, going diagonally the same way that the wing is going toward the center of the body here. Okay. I'm going to come back over to the right side here. Going to add a large circle here. And the same shape here I'm going to put over there, or similar shape. This time I'm going to start from the left side here and then press my brush down and get wider. So I'm just going back, filling in these shapes I put in earlier. Make sure they're nice and solid. Okay. We may need brown a little bit later, but for now, I'm going to rinse my brush off. Very well. When you rinse your brush, you want to make sure you press your brush all the way to the bottom of your cup, like you're trying to scrub it, and rub it across the bottom of your cup, which opens up the bristles and helps the paint come out. Then when you dry it, you can smooth it back down to its original shape. So the next part we're going to do is the blue. There are several different color blues. On our palette here, we have kind of a darker blue, and I'm going to create a lighter blue. So to do that, you're going to take some of your white here. Make sure you mix enough so that you can use it across your whole painting. So I'm going to create a light blue and a medium blue. So I'm grabbing some of the blue here. And we just want, for the medium blue, we want it to be a little bit lighter than this blue that you already have on the palette. I still have some white left, so what I'm going to do is use that to mix an even lighter blue. So you should have dark blue, medium blue, and a lighter blue. Make sure you mix it all the way so you don't have so many swirls in your color, so that it looks pretty even when you use your color. All right, so I'm going to clean my brush off because I'm going to start off with the medium blue color. So cleaning the brush, wiping it on the paper towel. We're taking the medium blue color here, and we're going to put in a few designs that are going to go diagonal this way, kind of like the letter V here. So from this brown spot, you want to leave a space. Press your brush down. We're using the medium liner. And as you get closer to the body, you'll lift your brush up and it'll get thinner. Then we're going to start here close to the body and press our brush down all the way flat, making this a wider streak here. This is a very textured painting again, so it doesn't have to be perfect. On the left side, where this space is, we're going to put in the same color, similar size line. You're going to press your brush down flat and then head to the center like this. And then we're going to come downward, similar to the other side, because usually butterflies have the same pattern on each wing. Of course, ours is not going to be exact, but it'll be similar. So we'll come down like this. And it'll be toward the middle of this wing. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to add a third one. We have 2 on the right, but we're going to do 3 on the left. So let's press our brush down here and come right in the middle, about right here. So now that we have this color on our brush, what we're going to do is kind of going back over these a little bit more to make sure they're solid. We're going to create a turquoise color, which means what we're going to do is mix in a little bit of green to this medium blue. So we're taking this, I'm just putting it over here near my green. Not all of it, I'm going to take most of it and put a tiny bit of green in there. And then continue to gradually add the green until you see the color change. You don't want to add too much at first because it's harder to change the color back to what you want when you add too much. It's easier to gradually add the color. So I'm adding the color. I see the color changing. It's different enough to where I can tell that it's not the same color. So now I'm going to begin to use it. So what we're going to do here is create a bigger line here with that color. You can see it's a little bit different. Going to take this all the way to the bottom of the page. Filling that in. On the right side here, we're going to put two of them. We're starting here close to the same way, the same place where we ended here. You want to kind of create one that's not as big as the one we just did, a little thinner. And then we want to create one here. It's a little bit longer. So again, I'm going over these, just making sure they're solid, because we are going to be layering these colors. So you do want to see your original color. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to clean our brush off really well. Wipe it on your paper towel. Since we have these designs in now, I want to go ahead and add more of the brown down here on this side, on the left side. So we're going to put in another line here using the same liner. Another line here. And remember, all these lines are going at angles. It's like they're flaring out from the center. So you really don't want any lines that go left or right or up or down. You want them to all be diagonal. We're putting in 5 dots. So we're going to just do 1. I'm going to put in 4 of the brown dots. I'm going to leave a space here. 2, 3, and 4. Just do 4 dots. One of the other dots will be a different color. All right. On the right side here, we'll put in 1 streak. And then we will clean our brush really well. So back to this blue. We mixed a light blue and a medium blue, but we originally started with dark blue. So what we're going to do is take our light blue and just kind of streak over a thinner streak. If you need to use your smaller liner, you can do that. If you use your bigger liner, just use the edge of your brush. So we're just putting a streak on here, adding some variety here in your blue. You can even add a streak of this blue in the turquoise that we had here. All right, clean brush off. And we are going to now add a 3rd layer to the blue, which is the darker blue. Here you go. Now, the thing is, this is wet, so it might end up blending, which will be okay. Just want to add a streak at the bottom here. Here, you're really just kind of adding variety to these designs here. You can even take some of this blue and streak again onto the turquoise color that you created here. All right. Cleaning that color off. We're going to take our green and we're going to create a lighter greenish yellow color. So kind of brighten up. This is kind of a cooler color right now, cooler color palette. So we want to add a little bit of this yellow into what we're doing. So we're going to take some more of the white, kind of set it aside, some yellow. That might be too much yellow. And then a little green. You don't want to use all of your yellow. And really, I'm starting off mixing some of the green, not even all the green. This color is really good. I'm going to add a little bit more yellow to it though. So this is more of a closer to a spring green color. And what we're going to do is going to take that color and fill in this area right here. So starting right in this area, you're going to branch out with a larger stroke here. And then you're going to kind of streak this color on to some of your other turquoise areas here. I think this is it right here. Okay, I think I'm done with that color. Maybe I'll add a little tiny bit here. I'm gonna clean that off. Since we're using green, we're gonna go ahead and use the darker green here, but I am gonna put some yellow in the darker green with no white. So this is dark green and yellow, no white. I'm going to take it, add a little bit more texture to some of these here. Kind of bring that up here. Maybe another stroke of green there. And we'll put a green dot right here, actually. I think that'll be it for the green. So the brown, my brown is almost dry, but not quite. So when I add colors to it, it might smear a little bit, which will still be okay. So I am going to make orange. If you don't already have orange, which I don't think I mentioned at the beginning, then we're going to go ahead and make orange. So yellow and red make orange. What you're going to use is mostly yellow. Also, I'll bring some over to the red. And then you'll gradually add a little bit of red, depending on what type of orange you want. So as you can see, it's changing. And I'm going to have like a deeper orange first. So this will be a little bit more red than I thought at first. And you're going to mix it in until you don't have any swirls or don't have many swirls. You want to make sure you mix enough to cover a good area of your painting. So we have this orange mixed in. What we're going to do is we're going to just kind of highlight some of these brown areas. Not too many, just kind of streak in a little here. Some there on the right hand side. Let's see, these two here. And then a couple of these dots that we just added, we will add some orange near them, but you can leave some of the brown showing there. All right, clean that off. So now you can see the painting's getting a little bit more color to it. So the orange that we mixed, what we're going to do is take that same orange and then add more yellow. We're going to make it a little bit lighter. Here I'm going to add a touch of white to it because yellow is translucent. So that means that you can kind of see through it. So if you don't add white to it, it won't show up that well on dark colors. So we're going to create this kind of a orange-yellow color. And we're going to highlight the same area here. Create a highlight here. You can pick any one of these. I'm going to pick the one I haven't covered yet with the yellow. And I might add a little bit of yellow here on this one and this one here. Okay, I think that's it for that yellow color, or that orange yellow color. So we have two more colors. We're going to be using a light brown or a tan and a white. So we're going to take some more of our white color here, mixing a small amount of brown with it. You want the brown to be able to show up because this other brown is pretty dark. All right, we're not using much of this, so you don't have to mix a bunch, but you just want to mix a good amount. We're going to take it and just using it to highlight the right side dot here, this line here, and this one here. In the end, all of the brown we put down is going to be partially covered. Here, I'm going to put a couple of dots right in there, and I'm going to dot this one here, these two. So we're going to clean our brush off, and the last color that we're going to use is going to be white. I didn't clean it well. Let me clean it one more time. All right. So I still have white left. I'm going to take this white. I'm going to put it on very thick because my brown is still wet. But just going to dab it right in the middle area here. This white just brings out the shape here. Going to kind of put it at the top part of it and kind of let the bottom part be the brown. And then here, I'm going to go on the left side of this one because my right side is wet. So all of my brown shapes here are covered, but I'm going to now kind of highlight a few other shapes. So I'm streaking on top of the light orange or orange yellow color. I'm going to add a dot to these here. And just one more dot over in these areas here. Okay, the last thing that we're going to do after we clean our brush, so we're going to add antenna. You can switch over to your smaller liner. I'm going to keep my big one just because the end of the big one I have is really thin. But switching over to your smaller liner may be easier. I'm going to put water on the brush and wet the black paint to make it more liquid. So I kind of have a puddle here of black. You don't want to just have a bunch of this color on your brush, so you're going to wipe off some here on the edge of your palette. And with the tip of your brush, your antenna are going to be V-shaped. Hopefully my painting is dry up here. And what you're going to do is just kind of squiggle on an antenna here to the left, squiggle one on to the right, and you are done with your butterfly. Hopefully you enjoyed this painting. And I hope that you continue to tune in to Wellness Wednesdays. Again, I'm Darlene, and I thank you very much for joining me.